wiring, one neighbor at a time.
It is real. It's 91.9, 91.5, www.therealfmgrenada.com. Good morning, Grenada. Good morning, Caribbean. Good morning to the WORLD. And 7 minutes after the 9 o'clock hour, that is our time. And remember, I was telling you earlier on this morning that we'll be speaking to some VIPs. Yeah, you can call it. Yeah, you can say VIPs. It's okay to use that word. Yeah, and I will use that word to describe them too. Very important, very, very important. Because you see, sometimes how you measure importance has to do with the value of what you're able to garner, to get from what is happening. For instance, if you want to communicate with someone who is in North America, then you understand and appreciate the importance and of somebody like Flow, like Digicel, like Spice Mobile, and you appreciate them a lot because you want to contact somebody somewhere else, and because of the service that they provide to you, that you then realize how very important that company, whichever one you're using, is. If you like water per se, if you turn on the pipe, and when you turn that tap on, and there is no water in the tap, immediately you realize the importance of Nawasa. So you're there and you dig in some great music, man. You're listening to Real FM at your home on a big system, and it's booming, the bass is booming, and everything is going. And then, vlam! You realize, hold on, the power went. And that's when you realize how important and how Grenlec is integrally involved in almost everything that you do. See? So all these companies, if you go to the supermarket, yeah, and there's no food, then you realize how important Kenny Lalsing and Calico is. So this morning, friends, I want to speak to a gentleman he has his finger on the pulse. Yes, and he's there. He's smiling right now. And he has his fingers on the pulse of what happens in our sole power company in Grenada. I'm speaking of none other than Mr. Clive Hostin. Mr. Hostin, top of the morning to you, sir. How are you doing?
Hey, Andre. Hi. Good morning. I'm fine. I'm good. And thanks for having me on the program.
Well, thanks for accepting the invitation. I was just trying to, for just a little window of opportunity there, I was trying to figure out whether you look better with or without the glasses. But let's leave it with the glasses. Let's leave it with the glasses.
Yeah. You know what that means, right? Yeah, the nobody's been up.
So how's the family, sir? How's everybody? Everybody's okay?
Yeah, family's doing well. Family's doing
Great.
Good. Everything is good, just like the weather and the nice sunshine that we're getting out there.
Yeah, and now let's go with the extended family at Grenlec. How's that? How's the extended family at Grenlec?
No, that's going well. We've got discussions. We've always got things happen. One of the things with Grenlec is that it's very dynamic. There's always something going on. So that dynamic and that helps us to mold and become better.
Cool.
It helps us to understand each other better. Good too. So yeah, life is progressing. Life is moving on.
Well, that's wonderful to know. Well, again, thank you very much for accepting the opportunity to speak with us about electricity on a whole here on Real FM Radio this Thursday morning. I've just finished speaking agriculture because we do that religiously on a Thursday morning. We speak agriculture, and it's nice to have that extension and speak electricity and speak about the rates of electricity in our country. Now, some would say, if I can put it this, some would say that the prices are high. Grenlec would say that the prices are where they are because of the cost of fuel, which is high. So, put for us that into perspective. If I'd say people say the prices are high, Grenlec will say, well, no, the prices are where they are because of the cost of the fuel.
Yeah, thank you. And you seem to have the right context. But although we say it's right, but it is high. It is high. I mean, we're not shying away from that. Electricity prices, it is high. And when we look at the tariff and the price, it consists of two components. There is the non-fuel, okay, and there is that fuel charge or that fuel component. We look at the non-fuel portion. It's moved slightly over the last 27 odd years. As a matter of fact, from 2016 to the beginning of this year, it remained constant. It was like for the domestic customer around 40 cents. At the beginning of this year, 5th of January to be precise, we actually provided some relief to our customers by reducing the non-fuel component by 25%. And that was a large reduction, right? So whereas the price was 40 cents, it moved to 30 cents, right? And that was done as a relief measure for customers, for all our customer categories: domestic, commercial, industrial. The fuel, on the other hand, that is a culprit. That is a culprit. What we noticed is that during the time of Ivan, it went down. The prices went down. And that was essentially because there wasn't a lot of activity. Economic activity had basically dropped. A lot of countries had closed their borders. There wasn't any travel. Okay, you had more fuel than anybody could need. You had a glut on the market, right? A lot of fuel. Last year was interesting. Fuel prices started off the year at 28 cents per kWh. It increased 30, 40 cents. And at the end of the year, it was in the late 40s, 40 cents per kWh. And that's where, the whole relief came in around that time, or the discussions came in conjunction with the government of Grenada, right, to have that decrease. And that was because fuel prices were increasing. It so happened that January to May now, it continued to increase. Okay, in January, February, it was over 50 cents, March, April, 56. And last week, okay, it actually hit 62 cents, right? So that fuel price has just been, from last year in particular, it's just been increasing from 28 cents in January last year to May, the beginning of May, to 62 cents.
And that increase would have to do exactly with what is happening on the world market, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We have no control. We have no say, okay, on that. We were dependent on diesel, okay, and the diesel has to be imported, okay, and it comes from various sources, including the US, okay, but we pay world market prices. Probably if we were using a lot more because of our size, economies of sales, maybe we could have got like a few cents cheaper, lower. Okay, but the price is what it is. It's controlled by OPEC and other external forces. A lot of it depends on supply and demand. Okay, after COVID, as I said, during COVID, there wasn't a lot of economic activity. There was a lot of fuel. After COVID, or when as the cases started to drop, travel increased, economic activity, increased, hotels open, the tourism sector started to move. Okay, you get a case where there's not enough fuel, okay, or there's limited fuel, okay. You find countries have to produce more fuel, okay. So the demand and the supply match there, dictates that fuel prices go up, it increases, and that's one of the things that we've seen. No, that dispute with Russia and Ukraine has even added to that. Yeah. So a lot of it depends on world condition, geopolitics, what happens outside of Grenada.
Now, the layman like me would say, well, if all that is taking place with Ukraine and us, our dollar being what it is in relation to the US dollar, why don't we then buy fuel from Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela? Because of our dollar being stronger than theirs, we should be able to get more value for money down there. Why don't we?
It comes back to the same price. These prices are regulated. What we tend to see happen, especially in Trinidad, it's subsidized, heavily subsidized. Okay, but there are world market forces. There's governing conditions. Okay, and the price would be the same. Yeah.
How about the country examining more and more people getting involved in what is renewable energy? Will that help?
It will. It will. The more renewables we put on the system, it will help us to use less diesel. We'd probably still have to use diesel depending on the construct, okay, of the renewable energy program. But what it will help to do, it will help to stabilize, okay, the fuel components of the energy rates, okay? And we've got non-fuel, which is fairly stable. And if we could get that other component there to be stable, to not increase, that will help us. And with renewable energy, the way that works, especially on the intermittent part, it's like you're buying all the operations, you're buying all the maintenance, all that operational aspect upfront. So the cost of the renewable is high, okay, but you don't have you're not paying for fuel, you're not paying for other resources, so you're able to keep that rate constant. Yeah. Now with a diesel generator, um, you've got the capital outlay, which is still fairly high, but every month, okay, you've got fuel, you've got oil, you've got spare parts, you got filters, you have other things that you have to use, and that have to be factored into the rate. But with renewable energy, it's like you're paying for all those operational things upfront because you don't have to pay for the solar. So with that, although the initial investment is high, you're able to compute a price that could remain constant. Yeah. So even if world fuel prices increase or decrease, okay, that energy price will remain steady. Now, that in theory, so it's supposed to work. We still have to use some diesel, so there will be a diesel component. But the more renewables we can use, okay, we can have a steady, constant, or stabilized fuel component. So it
And
can help.
it is a fact that that customers, if I was to organize and have renewable energy here at the radio station, and based on the amount that I am able to generate and the amount that I'm able to use, it's a fact that I can send it back, as they say in your language, send it back to the grid. Is that correct?
Yes, 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 yes. I mean, we are working with the PRC, the regulator, Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, and there are several programs, small generator um, interconnection program, where a customer can have solar on his roof, can use some of that solar during the day, okay, and the excess goes back on the grid and is sold to Grenlec. Likewise, for larger entities, okay, they can have ground mount. Okay, if they've got some land available, they can install solar on ground mount on various structures, okay, and become what is called a small IPP, small um, independent power producer, and feed basically all that energy to the grid. So there are programs, okay, with the PRC. And likewise, even before that, from 2007, Grenlec had its own program, That was before the PRC, where we had a number of customers, okay, with solar interconnected to the grid and providing that renewable energy to us.
Well, I remember not too very long ago, I was driving in the Plains area, and I had to go to a back road, and then I saw this, and I'm like, well, I didn't know Grenlec had a farm all the way inside of here. It was nice to see, and I kind of would like to see a lot more of that. Is your company looking to put up more farms across the nation?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That was installed around 2014. It's 300 kW of solar. And when we did that, we had installed solar on all our buildings that we own. Okay, so Dusty Highway, Queens Park, the power plant. We installed solar on all the building rooftop. We even developed car parks and put solar at the top of those car park. Um, I mean, it was a case where we spent a lot of time looking for land, right? We didn't get land, but we had pearls, planes. We've owned pearls for years, 25 odd years. We've owned that property there, but we were looking for land, couldn't find, so we decided to put solar on, all our properties. We eventually, um, did a deal, and we have some lands in pearls. Okay, and we are looking at putting solar there. Okay, and we probably start off small and increase that to a good size utility project. We also have solar in Pitimani. We have 30 kilowatts of solar there, and we intend to increase the amount of solar there, include batteries, and bring down diesel usage on the island to minimum level, probably even zero level. Okay, on a good hot sunny day.
How
So
about
our
geothermal?
intention is yes.
How about geothermal? Where you guys at? That?
Geothermal, we did some work in geothermal, um, a lot of exploratory work, and then the government decided, okay, to use grant funding, okay, and
Yeah.
assistance from some of the bigger companies, bigger countries, New Zealand, Japan, um, to explore and develop the resource, which makes sense because you're doing this with grant money. Okay, so we have a big interest in geothermal because we would really like to build and develop that plant. But geothermal, it takes a lot of money, a lot of resources, and a lot of technical expertise, okay, to find the right locations, okay, to find the right point on the map to start drilling. Then you got to drill. Okay, you got to test the resource. You got to make sure it's the right quality. You have to make sure you have the right volumes. Okay, and then you got into the production stage. So it's something that is long term and it is extremely capital intensive. Okay, so there are some programs with the New Zealand government to do that. I think they should be testing, or not testing, but doing some test drilling next year. Okay, so we are closely monitoring that.
I'm very happy that you'd have answered those questions. Read geothermal and also looking at solar. And I'm sure that you guys are looking into wind turbine engines
Yeah,
at
we've
this
we've
particular
done we've done
time.
a lot of work, including River and Twine.
Yeah.
We had put some test anemometers there, get taking wind speeds. So we had done that throughout the island. Um, so we have a lot of wind data, and I could probably just give you an update on that.
Sure,
What
sure.
we see happening with wind and the technology is that the wind turbines are getting bigger and bigger.
Bigger.
Okay, I mean the size of those towers and those blades are going into the 100 feet, dimensions. So, in terms of transportability and constructability, to get them to maneuver these parts, which could be 150 feet long, the blades, the verse, it's going to be a tremendous challenge for us. And even in terms of putting it together with the huge cranes that we need, it's another challenge.
Yeah.
So although we have good wind speed, when we look at the particular play, because in a lot of cases, where we've got the best wind is on the hilltops. Okay,
Yeah, and to get
we've got good wind speed along the coast, but the coast is where our beaches are, is where our hotels are, and they don't really mix there. But when you look at some of the hilltops, we have a lot of good wind, but it's how you get the parts, the components up there, and it's how you put them together in that kind of terrain.
well, Andre and Hostin definitely ain't strong enough to bring them up there, so that looks like that one probably would have to wait a while. But
Absolutely.
people would love to know and know more than ever now because government sought to purchase Grenlec, and that's history now, and it has been put into the hands of people like you, Mr. Hostin, and you ask, hey, manage this, and any boss giving any owner, sorry, giving you the authority, giving one the authority to manage and to handle something would expect it to bring returns. So in that vein, I'm asking you, financially, how you guys doing?
Yeah, I mean, we've been negatively impacted by COVID. Okay, the COVID years, I mean, it affected, I think, everybody in Grenada, the Caribbean, probably everybody on the planet. Okay, every business, okay, had some negative impact in one way or the other. And Grenlec, okay, had some challenges. Okay, there was decreased growth. Okay, so we didn't see the type of growth that we normally see. This year we're starting to see some of that growth. But for us at Grenlec, um, cost containment, looking at efficiency, cost management, okay, is a very, very important part of our operations. So we're constantly looking at efficiency, how to improve efficiency. Our system losses have gone down, which is good. Our fuel efficiency at Queen's Park is increasing. We work with our employees to look at new ways, do things better. We have an excellent hotline program where our guys work on the lines hot, so we don't have to take up power to lose revenue. So we are constantly looking at what we've seen though, okay, is that the cost of materials, the cost of some of the things that we import has been going up. And that is putting an extra strain on the company. S- Engine spare parts, the things we bring in for our engines, overhaul parts have increased dramatically. On the T&D system, whether it's poles, it's conductors, or meters has increased. And we've got stock or we've got affected with the supply chain issues that we see worldwide. I mean, looking at our meters, for example, and what happens is that although we've got main suppliers, but they subcontract and they have smaller suppliers that feed them, okay, with components so that they could put their parts together. And some of these smaller components are not ready. So you find the full build of the complete item that we want, for example, a meter, a kilowatt meter that you put on somebody's home, it's taking a long time, okay, in terms of the factory production and getting that together. So, I mean, for example, in the last couple of months, we have had to buy an interim lower class meter, same accuracy, okay, but it's not AMI ready, doesn't have some of the technical capability, but it is a proper meter. We've had to buy one or buy one so that we could, as an interim measure, so that we could get our proper meters. So our expenses, our operations has been affected.
So with that, one of the biggest expense that any company would have to be salaries and wages, and ever so often you'd find there are unions who come calling and knocking at the door and saying, "Hey, Mr. Hostin, time for us to get a raise. This is what we want." How are you guys going? I believe that you guys have some negotiations going on at this particular point in time. How are things with that?
Yes, yes, there is. Yes, there is. We've had several meetings, okay, with the union, okay, on renewing our memorandum of agreement, and union contract, consisting of salary increases and other fringe benefits. And the proposal is a bit on the high side. It's a bit on the high side. So as in negotiations, you've got two parties and you're trying to find a ground that both parties could agree on. You're looking at a win-win situation for both. Um, so yeah, the negotiations, we've got to try to find a ground that suits all of us. But with that, as I mentioned, with some of the costs, um, expenses, we need to be looking at long term and not near term, because near term you could have some quick gains, some good salary increases, okay, some nice numbers, but what happens to the long term impact of Grenlec? Grenlec, we need to be looking forward. We need to be bringing more renewable energy. And I just mentioned that we need to
Yeah.
invest in more renewable, and we see, the cost of that is huge. And there's other investments that we need to do. So sustain, these investments being sustainable, because when we make an investment in solar, okay, that should last us 20-25 years, okay, for the panels, and these things are expensive. But together with all of that, whether we're looking at long term, we're looking at sustainability and all that, and future investments, there's times when we have to work together and even sacrifice. There's some element of sacrifice with all stakeholders. That is an important factor. I mean, we've worked with government, we have decreased our non-fuel rates by 25%. And that we're looking at 6 months. We're kind of close to the end of that, but we're going to be looking at other measures. We're going to be looking at our finances. Um, do we decrease? Do we continue this? Do we look at some other measures? But we have to look after our customers. Yeah. Um, so there's that element that we've looked at. The government in itself had reduced VAT and environmental levy. So everybody has to pitch in one way or another. Yeah.
Non-fuel rates, again, you spoke of, and these non-fuel rates, they have been reduced. Um, is that what had the impact on Grenlec and its rate decreases that recently happened? Was it because of what you just suggested?
Yeah, that's right. And that's in line with the relief measure that we implemented from the 5th of January this year. So the non-fuel rate decreased from 40 cents per kWh for domestic customers down to 30 cents. So that's a relief measure that we implemented from 5th of January this year.
All right. And government, is government giving you the support? I'm going to ask you this here now. Is government giving you the support that you believe you need, Mr. Hostin, in all of this? Because they will give you this and they'll tell you to manage it. And when they come calling for their taxes and so, ain't no friend. You're supposed to do something, pay your share. Is government really giving you that support that you believe you need?
We have to work together. Um, it's all about relationships, it's about policy, it's about direction, it's about understanding where it is that we want to go. And the government has made it clear to us that the direction and the focus has to be on renewable energy. Yeah. So with the NDC, National Determined Contributions, National Energy Strategy, even discussions with the PRC, okay, it is in the direction of renewable energy, and we have to work with that mandate, okay, and try to achieve some of these objectives. Yeah.
Whether we like it or not, Mr. Hostin, there will always be that group of individuals who struggle in any country, and they struggle to put food on the table. They struggle to ensure that water is in the tap. They struggle to be able to make a phone call. They struggle to ensure that the power is in the house. Are there any how should I put it? Is Grenlec at this time looking to assist these people in any possible way that they can?
Well, before I get into that, I should mention that, the government has had, and this is from December, reduce VAT, okay, on the non-fuel rate for domestic customers. Okay, so previously where there was VAT from, like, let's say 100 kW upwards, okay, that threshold changed, um, and the VAT is now applicable to energy consumption 500 kW and above. And likewise, there was also some changes to the environmental levy, okay, which had thresholds of $5 above 99 units and $10 above 150. Now it's $10 above 500 kW. So all this, although this does not really impact, some of the very vulnerable people out there, it is a factor that would help domestic customers. But at that level, basically, I mean, we know that there is hardship out there. Okay, we have partnered with the Rotary Club as part of our GCPI, Grenlec Community Partnership Initiative. And that program, we did a lot of work last year. We're now revealing, okay, some of the results and some of the fruits of that program. Collectively, we spent about, or we contributed like $1.5 million, okay, to community programs overall. Okay, and one of the programs was a partnership with the Rotary Club of Grenada, okay, where, with them being, what should I say, neutral and community oriented, they will work with the community, identify customers through an application process who are very vulnerable, who can't pay their bills for whatever reason, okay, unable to work, certain situations might develop, and assist them to pay their bills, okay, as well as sometimes certain people, they have some fire or some kind of destruction in their house and they need to rewire. Okay, some of the money there is to help them with that. So we have partnership with the Rotary Club of Grenada. It's a program called the Good Neighbor Initiative. Okay, and there is a process. It's all handled by the Rotary Club of Grenada. There's an application process, a special team of people that are working with that, and that is there to help, okay, vulnerable persons and family.
Management of one's bills, speaking bills across the board, is something that has to be done. Management of your power bill is so very important. Is Grenlec, or does Grenlec have afoot any program that would assist customers or consumers to manage their bill, advise different things that they can do to help reduce their bill? And the question begs to be asked, is it working? If
Okay.
you have.
Yeah, I mean, the answer to that is yes. I mean, we're very active. We have a customer services department that deals with customer care, customer interaction, and working with the customers. And the question that you ask, I think, has two parts. One is bill management, okay, and the other is energy efficiency, okay, or energy management, how you manage the electricity. But bill management is important because it's important that customers pay attention to the due date on the bill so they know that when they have to pay their bill. Sometimes it's not at the end of the month for everyone. We try to get customers to pay all their bill so that you don't have arrears that keeps on continuing um, month after month. um, the whole bill management there, that's an important part. Even looking at your bill, there's a section there that has an 8-month history, okay, so that you could track, okay, and you could see the trend. And it's probably going up and down. It probably varies, but when it goes up high, if you look at that trend, something might come to mind and say, oh, I did X or Y at that particular month, and that's why it went up, and it can help you manage your bill over time. Um, on the energy management side, there's a number of things that we look at, and this now is essentially managing your energy. So you're looking at energy efficiency, you're looking at various habits, Okay, and it's not just only your lights, but how you use appliances, whether a larger item like your refrigerator, washing machine, your air conditioning unit, your TV. And we have a number of do's and don'ts and things that you could look at to manage your energy, manage your bill. One is transformers. Okay, transformers are used internally to break down the voltage from 210 to 110, because in a lot of cases we bring appliances from the US,
Yeah.
okay, in which they function at 110. So the appliances are good, but you need a transformer. The transformer, sometimes they're oversized, they're a lot bigger than what you actually need. And sometimes the transformer stays on, it's plugged on, but the appliance is not needed. So the appliance is off, your transformer is on, and the transformer, it gets hot, it uses energy. Once it's plugged onto that means from Grenlec, it is using energy. And sometimes it's hard for customers to understand that, because they will take off the appliance, okay, which is connected to the transformer. Transformer is connected to the mains, but you're still using energy. That transformer is getting hot. Okay, so things like that. I mean, the solution here is to switch off the transformer from the mains, so it doesn't get hot, it doesn't use electricity. Yeah, and things like that makes a difference.
Safety, Mr. Hostin. Safety is well, I dare say it's even more than a watchword for your company. And one can say, knock on wood here, that the safety rate in your company seems to be so very, very, very high in terms of persons adhering, because we don't really hear of major incidents taking place at your company and with your workers. How important is safety for you in relation to the modern time and how we're going? How important is that for you?
Extremely. That actually, it's our top priority. I mean, when we talk to customers and we talk to the general public, we talk reliability, we talk cost management, we talk about keeping the power on, we talk about customer services. But internally, when we speak to our employees at Grenlec, safety is first. Okay, because without safety, and we have accidents and we have people getting injured on the job, have to stay home and even get whatever the accident could be. Okay, we don't have the staff to do the job. Okay, it's absolutely important that when employees come to Grenlec, okay, they come healthy, they could walk, they could move their arms. When they leave Grenlec at the end of the day, they're in the same physical, mental condition, or even better, okay, than when they come in. So we have a lot of programs, a lot of emphasis on safety. We have a safety officer, we have a safety team in each department. We have monthly safety meetings. We have a lot of policies and procedures. We have a lot of training. People need to be competent. They need to be certified to do various jobs. For example, if you have to switch or open some kind of switching device on the T&E network, you need to be trained. You need to know what you're doing, because you send somebody to go and open X switch and they go and open a switch elsewhere, another part of the island, and we have men working on that line. You can imagine what would happen.
Yeah.
So even in the power plant, with all the engines, the rotating equipment, we deal with so much hazards on a particular day. Whether you look at Queen's Park with all the fuel, the lube oil, rotating equipment, high voltages, I mean, it's a place where you have a lot of things, a lot of hazards at the same time. Likewise, our men who goes out in the field using the large trucks, okay, planting poles, okay, with equipment. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a very distinguished, highly trained, well competent, and I would even say world class, okay, set of linesmen who can work on the high voltage at 11,000 volts hot. Okay, so going into your home, you have 230 volts. 230 volts. On the high tension line, we have 11,000 volts. Okay, and we have men that could put their gloves, okay, and do almost anything on the high voltage 11,000 volts. We could change out a pole, we could change out a cross arm, we could change out insulators. Okay, we could install transformers without taking the power, and the volume of safety required to do that job with all the procedures, with all the mental alertness is incredible.
When you're gonna mention things like that, one, me, I have a very bad heart, so I can't take that kind of tension that you're just speaking about the amazing work of these guys. But I was just able to draw a parallel between Grenlec and working in the well, not the media, but working on radio and television to an extent too, because in radio, when you do it, it's gone. You can't take it back. And in Grenlec, if you make a mistake in the power plant, you may be, knock on wood, knocking somebody off a pole in Davie. So you have to make sure, but you said that you have to ensure that you do the correct thing every single time that you go. It's amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and it comes back to training, understanding the risk, okay, working with us on our policies, procedures, making sure we do things properly. Um, but there has to be that proper understanding, okay, of what it is that we're doing, what it is that we want to achieve. But in everything that we do, safety comes first. Safety is paramount. Even simple things like wearing your PPE, personal protective equipment. And I know in the health sector that has come down to mask, but in
Yeah.
Grenlec, it includes helmet, it includes safety glasses, air protection at the power plant, safety boots, safety gloves, okay, harnesses, okay, if you're working from a height, okay. There is a lot of PPE, personal protective equipment, okay, that we make available to our staff, okay, and together we have to make sure that it's used properly at all times.
Final question for you this morning. Make a statement to the nation on something that Grenlec itself wants the nation to understand and to know. What would that statement be, sir?
That statement would be that Grenlec has a staff of around 240 people. And I'm looking team members, I'm looking Carriacou, Petit Martinique, and Grenada, okay, who works extremely hard, okay, um, at making sure that we have reliable, safe power, okay, um, at an effective rate, um, 24/7, round the clock.
I want you to promise me one thing as I say goodbye to you, that we can do, not necessarily with you, but with your company, we can do a 5 minute or a 10 minute, maybe once a month or once every 2 months, so that people can stay in touch with your company and not just know that Grenlec is there when they put that switch on or when they open that fridge and they're able to enjoy a cold one, whatever that one is. But they must feel Grenlec and not just see the effects of it or enjoy the effects of it like that. They must understand that there's a human touch. So I'm saying to you, sir, you'll speak to your people. You know who you have to speak to. Maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes every month, at a particular time, and find out what's going on. Let us know what's happening with Grenlec, and so that we can appreciate the company a lot more than we're doing.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's great. The COVID time had impacted us
Yes.
in certain ways. Even adapting to this technology, because we were all day in the media. But yeah, we will make the effort. We will be out there, and we'll be happy to be on your program.
Mr. Hostin, thank you so very much. Next time I come to St. George's, I'll look you up so that we can have lunch. You'll be paying.
All right. Yeah.
Take care of yourself, sir. Take care of
Okay.
yourself. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
Oh, okay, bye-bye.
And blessed day to all your listeners. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It is real. It's 91.9, 91.5, www.drealfmgrenada.com. Andrew Donald here. We're speaking there to the general manager of Grenlec, Mr. Clive Hostin. This is Real FM Radio. Stay with us.
Clubs in Grenada introduce the Good Neighbor Initiative, a program designed to assist individuals and families who require short-term assistance with electricity bill payment and the cost associated with rewiring of homes due to fires and natural disasters. If you or someone you know is in need of help, please visit our website